Welcome into Champions Corner live from the Grotto, downtown Cleveland at the Barley House. It's an epic night here in Cleveland. We got all things going on. We got the Cleveland Guardians playing right now. They're up 3-1 in the bottom of the seventh inning versus the Yankees right now, trying to get a win on the board here in this series as they're down 2-0 in the series. Just got another hit, and we've got all types of bourbon going on up in here in the Grotto, and then we've got Thursday Night Football coming up. But we're going to be joined here, and we're joined here right now in our pregame show by our great friend Darren Prince. Let's bring him into the studio right now. Hello, Darren. Hey, Darren, how you doing, my man?
Oh, good. How you been?
We're doing well. How are things going out in L.A.?
Everything is great. I haven't traveled in a while, so I'm pretty happy to be home until next week.
I hear you. Fans, welcome in Darren Prince of Prince Marketing, marketing guru and marketing agent to you know who, a list that can go miles. Any MLB current MLB players or great past MLB players that you represent and have worked with, Darren?
MLB players, there hasn't been a ton. I mean, Pete Rose just passed. I worked with him, on and off over the years. Trying to think who else. Darryl Strawberry, great guy. Worked with him a bunch. Being from that New York area. I think Cal Ripken a couple of times. We did some projects with him. Ricky Henderson. It's primarily basketball icons, wrestling.
Right.
A ton of NFL greats. I mean, just booked Jerry Rice today for a big corporate event in New York at the end of October. Joe Montana's been my guy for 30 years. Booked him a ton. Ray Lewis, Lawrence Taylor, who's especially being from the New York, New Jersey area. I mean, I think him and Jerry Rice are always considered, two of the top two greatest ever. Tom Brady, I booked him for Grant Cardone's last 10X conference. He was tremendous, and a lot of his clips from that event have been all over the internet going viral.
Oh, no doubt, especially this week with the Raider, his Raider ownership, part ownership, officially going through on the vote and whatnot. And I think you guys saw what Mark Davis said. He said we traded Devontae Adams for Tom Brady, and some draft picks. We think we won that trade, and so that was funny. But no doubt, I know those guys that you were just listing. Some of those guys, Ray and Chevy Chase and Dennis Rodman and Michael Vick and that whole crew that's your guys. I know they know the Grotto as well too, because when we saw you in person here recently, when you were out here in Cleveland for the big national convention, they all came up here, to smoke some cigars and kind of socialize with each other here at the Grotto, right here where we're at right now. But yeah, it's a big night again, like I said, here in Cleveland. We've got literally right down the street. We could walk to the stadium right now, but the Guardians are up, 3-1 on the Yankees right now, trying to get their first win in the ALCS in this tournament, and so it's big. And then we've got Knob Creek in the house tonight, here with us, doing a bourbon and cigar pairing, and then the Thursday Night Football game getting ready to kick off, which is really our old stomping, grounds, because it's the Denver Broncos versus at the New Orleans Saints here tonight, and so it's Sean Payton, who we obviously won our Super Bowl with,
Exactly.
hence Champions Corner. Yeah, it's Sean Payton's first time back to the Superdome since he left. Drew Brees, our quarterback, is going into the Saints Ring of Honor tonight, and it's like the Denver Broncos staff is all our old Saints staff, and then the head coach of the Saints was our DB coach at the Saints when we won that Super Bowl, and some of his assistants were assistants on that staff, and some of his assistants were players. Played for us on on that team, and so it's funny. It's going to be a crazy one here tonight.
I gotta get you on the phone with Steve Simon, who runs my agency, our mutual friend, and he's known him forever. We go back since I was 10. And when I tell you, he's as much of a diehard Saints fan as I am a San Diego Charger fan, which I still struggle calling them the LA Chargers.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Steve goes back to the Ricky Jackson days and Bobby Hebert, and every year they get eliminated. He goes, man, I still go back that we finally got that one. And I just hope one day you get that with the Chargers. So I pray one day it happens.
That's awesome, man. And we do the same thing as well too. It's like we have a hard time. Like we coached for the Redskins when they were still the Redskins, and so it's like all those things. We coached for the Rams both when they were in St. Louis and when they were in LA. And so like I make that mistake, every once in a while, I'll call them St. Louis, and I same thing with the Chargers, all the moving around. Speaking of the Chargers, have you ever done anything with Drew Brees or any of these people around here tonight?
Drew, I actually have. I got a mutual friend, my boy Gary, that I was involved in a project with, and actually just today, Dan Fleischman, who I do a ton of business with, a very dear friend, did a big post with Drew that he's involved in the Everbowl franchise. It's just a great guy, total first class. Been around with Damian Tomlinson a bunch, and even who was it, Antonio Gates. I was at a convention with the late Jerry West, who was very near and dear to me. He passed away on June 12th, everybody knows. And last November, we were in Chicago at one of those signing conventions, and Antonio Gates came over and got to spend quite a bit of time talking to him, especially about that '06 divisional round against New England. And I'm like, hey, man, I was at that game and 14-2 season, 12 Pro Bowlers. And I was like, I asked LT one time, why were they not running you in the whole second half? They had no answers for you. And then that epic Marlon McCree showboat interception with 5 minutes to go up 10. And I mean, just typical Charger football, man. It was a disastrous game to leave. And especially Qualcomm, that was just painful. I had so many New York Jets fans back home, Giants fan, everybody was rooting for the Bolts that year, and just a colossal, mental breakdown. And poor Marty Schottenheimer. I thought that was our year.
I agree. I talk about that season actually like all the time in the coaching profession, where like you can't. I've seen, because I talk about that, like, is, hey, you got to just, we always say as coaches, like, control the controllables, and you just got to do, you can't control anything else. Because I was like, hey, Marty Schottenheimer, had already been a dude, already been a head coach, all stuff like that in the league, and has the best record in the league, goes 14-2, all that type of stuff, goes, AFC championship game, gets and loses and gets fired. And then you got other staffs like going 0-16 and getting contract extensions at the end of the year.
That was a painful one, man, because I never played football growing up. It was more baseball and tennis. But a lot of my buddies that played college footballs and in the pros, I remember seeing Montana at some point after that game in Rodman. I mean, it was just common sense. You got 5 minutes to go, and you're already past the 20. Why are you spinning around and trying to showboat? And that, of all people, Rasheed Caldwell, who went during the offseason to New England. Tom found him in the end zone on the first play once we kicked the ball back over. It was just a disgusting game to be at. And that's one of those ones that you have sports trauma from that you want to try to forget.
Yeah, no doubt from that standpoint. And you mentioned like all those guys, and that's the thing. Like that's always interesting to me. Like all the guys that you work with, all the guys you have worked with, and then there's so many of them. That's what a cool part of the national convention, the National Collectors Convention, was just most recently here this summer in Cleveland. I know it moves around, every year into about 6 different cities, but so many of those guys are from, more my childhood or early coaching career, but more my childhood or even before. Some of those guys I was born, but those are like, G-Dub's era of people. And so that was what was so fun for us, to get up there and be a part of that thing, because like there's no other, and I know you're in this world all the time, but like for us, like there's no other place, not even the Super Bowl, as big of a pageantry thing that it is now, where you get that collection of stars, and especially like OG stars and Hall of Famers all together. And so like in the ability to just like catch up with all of them, some of whom maybe you haven't seen for years or a decade,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
in one place. And that was so cool. You mentioned Pete Rose earlier, and I know we're in Ohio here in that
He was a good
neck of
friend
the
of
wood.
mine. He
But
and I
that
go way
was
back.
very cool for them to be able to have a moment,
Yep.
you know, and talk and get to hang out, you know, prior to his passing, which was kind of a little bit of a shock and surprise to us when
Yep.
we saw that out there, having have just seen him and hung out with him all day, you know, a few months ago.
Yeah,
And
it's a shame, man. My boy Ryan has been with him for the past 10 years. Fitterman, who's a dear friend, he's Mike Tyson's guy. And, you know, it just sucks, man, when it happens. I mean, you know, these guys all become family. You know, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier were clients, Evil Knievel. You know, that our agency is more about family first than any sorts of business. And, you know, Magic Johnson's been my longest, nearest, and dearest client, closest friend, 30 years, Hulk Hogan. You know, Ric Flair, Charlie Sheen, Chevy Chase, and man, when that happens, it is just tough. You know, it's not even the business part of it. I dealt with it, like I said, with Jerry West on June 12th. I knew that it was happening, and your loyalty is to the family, and you don't even leak out there at all what's going on, and you just pray and just hope that whoever it is going to turn the corner. But man, when I woke up at 6:30 that morning on the 12th, it's one of those days I'll never forget. I mean, 100+ text messages, media outlets reaching out, and can't watch TV, can't go past a newsstand, can't go on the internet, breaking news everywhere, and you know it's tough. I mean, you know the sport, you know the way it is. You know, you bond with these guys, they become family, and there's a camaraderie outside the sport for somebody like me because as an agent, it's kind of like the most important thing to me to get to know them and know their family, know their highs and their lows, and you know to be there as a dear friend more than anything else. So you know to have it happen, it's just something like I said, you just never get used to. But then you eventually get to focus as a guy like me who's a suburban New Jersey, a kid that actually had the blessing to be around some of the greatest ever do it. And you know, you talk about Ali and Frazier. I mean, there's no bigger than that. You know, that's royalty among royalty, the kings of all kings. And I've been in rooms where the biggest stars and on the planet, celebrity-wise, just are honored to shake guys like that, their hand, and you know, you eventually reflect back on what a beautiful experience and what I learned and what I was taught by them too. Not just what made them the greatest of what they did inside the boxing or on the court or on the field. You understand the mindset, and it's just such a privilege to be around that because I can implement that on my journey in life, not just in business, but you know what I'm most passionate about is having over 16 years sober and helping people, and how I went through
Yep.
my own trials and tribulations, came out on the other side, and realized that life is about finding your purpose. When you have a platform with that purpose, you can really impact a lot of people that are in need of help in challenging times.
you know, one of the best things that I had a chance to experience that day, though, that weekend that was here in Cleveland, was how strong your family connection was to all that, because that is a very, very big part of what I have done all these years in the National Football League. Was, you know, once I get them to pay attention and once I get them to be accountable and available and do all those type of things, they become family to me. And
Yeah.
all those great guys that were there, the first thing they did was, you know, was start razzing and teasing me when I was walking up to them about, here comes Dad, here comes Dad. Okay, we're finally back in the family again. Here he comes, and we didn't know you're going to be here. And it was a great experience. And for all fans out there, I can't tell you what it meant to me just to be around those guys again, to be part of the family, just like what you talked about.
But coach, isn't that that's what life's about as we get
You
older? You
bet.
know, you look back at that and you walk into a moment like that and realize, man,
Yep.
we all got the highs and the lows of life, the
Yep.
challenges during the day, but that's what gets you in the heart and that's what gets you up here and realize that that impact that you've had the ability to make is everything. You know,
No
it's
doubt.
just it's that intangible on life
Yep.
that's just you might not have seen them in 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, but you've made such an impact as you've done in your son. It's the same
You
thing.
bet.
I mean, as I get older now at 54, it's about legacy and it's about how many people's lives you can impact. Because the money comes and goes, and the money's nice and it allows you to
Right.
provide and take care of people. But our legacies ultimately for every single one of us is what do we do to impact people so then they can pass that down to the most important people in their life. And sometimes it's ones they don't even know. It's by the way that they live, by their fan
Yep.
base that hear them talk openly and honestly about these moments in their life that had them step up and become the greats of the greats. And hey, like Tom Brady said on that 10X conference, forget the wins. And I remember
Right.
sitting backstage. He goes, "It's the losses. Let's talk about those losses and how, that defined me." And I've heard that from everybody from Magic to, Hulk Hogan having physical challenges and injuries in the ring. I mean, they all ultimately have that aha moment that are you going to cave in or is this going to actually motivate you and understanding that adversity truly reveals your character?
No doubt. And
Amen to that, yeah.
the losses and the toughest times that we have throughout this business and competitions and that kind of stuff, you learn the most. And
What do
if
we
you
learn when
think,
we're on top?
I know,
It's so easy to just celebrate,
no
but
doubt,
life isn't designed that way. I know me
no doubt.
personally that, my life, like on those great weeks, those great days, that great months, yeah, that's great. The energy is flying, the frequency, the vibe, and everybody's super happy. But when I get those moments, now my mindset isn't like, God, why me? It's always, God, try me. This is the time to be in the barrel. And I know I've gotten out of the barrel before. So now it's Darren's time to get to that next level again. And it's the
You
same
bet.
thing in sports.
No,
You bet.
and I love what you said. I mean, adversity introduces a man himself, a team to themselves for real. I mean, hey, it's introducing Cleveland to itself right now. This has been a not good eighth inning right now. They just gave up 3 runs and went from up 3-1. Now they're down 4-3. And it's gonna be interesting to see the way they rally. But another thing you talked about there is definitely something that like we you even bonded of was legacy and the idea of legacy, right? And that's kind of led me same thing that like my this stage, in my life, we're still younger, but still thinking about that and looking at my young children and thinking about my legacy with my players that have now retired, some of them, but then also my children as well too. But we want to talk a little bit about the legacy fund, right? And some of the things that you guys are doing that you've built around like putting your money in your work ethic in your network, where your mouth is, right? And that's
Yeah.
that's one thing I really respect about you, is that it's not talk, right? Like it's action, kind of like what Marshawn Lynch used to say is like, I'm just about that action, boss,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whatnot. But talk to me a little bit about some things with the legacy fund, on the private equity side of things, with especially some of your clients, and then the financial literacy and the Dominique Financial Literacy Center, and some of
Yeah.
those things that you guys are doing for legacy and impact.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because we know you're a special person to be involved in that too. And I know you've become super, super close with my boy Ammo, who we go
Yep.
back almost 30 years. So this just happened about a year and a half ago, maybe. Him and I were talking one day and about, I used the expression, as you know, that athletes die twice. And it's
Yes.
once when they retire, and then obviously of however they pass and move on. And I just said it's just a shame because so many of either mismanage their finances or they're just surrounded by the worst people possible. They do stupid restaurant investments, whatever it might be. And before you know it, I think you told them it's 2 to 3 years out of the NFL they're broke. And I
Yep.
just said to them, it's heartbreaking. I thank God I've been around enough guys. Magic's one of, he's literally the richest, post-retired athlete entrepreneur ever. Michael's made it in Pitchman and his royalties with Nike, but what Magic's built with a multi-billion-dollar empire. And Amma was there with us in Hawaii in 1997 when we had lunch, and I call him by his real name. Urban actually said he's going to become a success in the world of retired athletes that nobody's ever seen before. And fast forward 27 years later, he's just that. And I just wanted to, create a change. It's got three components to it. What I feel life is about, as my boy Dave Meltzer says, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun, make a lot of money. The money comes back, the abundance comes back, allows you to bless other people. And I love the component that we all collectively came up with, me, Ammo, Dominique Wilkins, who's a dear friend and partner, Kevin Harrington, that we want athletes and entertainers to have the ability not just to invest, these are all projects we're invested in, but take on a role, take on an executive position, a board of advisor position, learn about it. So during the off season, you can really sink your teeth into it instead of going out on a yacht in San Tropez and flying 20 of your friends that aren't going to care about you when you're struggling. Take advantage of that so you actually have a purpose and there's not that mental breakdown of when it is time to hang it up and retire, where you actually learn something, you've developed a craft, like I said, you have a purpose and you have the ability to learn and grow and scale with this big organization that you're actually invested into, and you have a reason to get out of bed in the morning and really understand it. Because I think, as you guys have seen, a lot of athletes, they're almost embarrassed, their pride, their ego, to ask so many questions and that, because they're such alphas.
No doubt about it.
They're such alphas and dominant savages at what they do that to show vulnerability and weakness, I tell them, no, it's a strength to ask those questions. I've booked hundreds and hundreds of keynotes for Magic over the 30 years, and every time he loves telling the story that when he was in his heyday playing for the Lakers at the Forum, he would get out in the court 30 minutes before everybody else for the shoot around, because he wanted to make sure Michael Ovitz, all the power players of Hollywood, he would set lunch meetings with every one of them or dinner with every single one of them, knowing at a certain point his career was going to be over. And he wanted to leverage his stardom in those moments to make sure that those guys were all in his back pocket. So he went to the best of the best and surrounded himself with the best. So when it was time to retire from basketball, this inner circle, which nobody could have created, he already had it all set up for himself to transition out.
And amen to that. And that's amazing. That's like, it's such a huge testament to him. But like, same thing is, that's not everybody, right? And so like legacy and education, that doesn't mean everybody can't do it. They're not going to maybe naturally do it like Magic, but the ability to teach players and show players that way. And like, when you first said that to me, that, because like that players, the first time I heard you say that to me, that players die to death, and I was like, yes. And
Absolutely.
And that's what I've been talking about for years and years, when I was still actively coaching my players and trying to coach them even on more things than just football. There's so much. Hey, be efficient with your time. There's so much time that you're around your players to have more impact than just talking, a little bit more about scheme or whatever, sort of thing. Have an impact on them. But then in my post coaching life, really trying to handle that transition and give them education and give them starting points and give them talking, and opportunities on that, and letting that, like, the preparation come in before, like, you don't want the first time you're thinking about it and having that conversation and the aha moment of realization after the game has been taken from you. And in reality, 99% of them don't get to leave, on their own volition. Like somebody retires them for them.
Exactly.
They don't get another contract. Either their body can't do it anymore, or someone saying you're too old, not good enough anymore, or we don't want you, so to say, anymore. Like, you have to, retire, sort of situation. And you wanted them to understand, like, all their transferable skills and their path and how to, like, maybe like a lot of them maybe haven't ever had to, say, network and understand the concept of like connected people or connecting people and how to do it, because when they've always been in the limelight, it's like people are attracted to them, so like mosquitoes to a light, right?
Everybody's a taker, man. I mean,
exactly.
That's what happens. And Dominique has been a dear friend for 30 years, and I've been representing him forever. But like, it was something that I came to him. I think it was the first phone call with me, him, and Ammo over a year ago. That's how the Dominique Wilkins Financial Literacy Center came up. But it's not just about athletes learning the transition and to protect and build upon their wealth, but there's going to be a big problem, man, with this whole NIL situation. in a
I
short amount of time.
totally agree.
Because these guys feel they're all making it to the pros. They might make, a couple $1,000,000. They're crushing it. Their junior year, senior year, all of a sudden, bam, God forbid that injury. God forbid they don't get drafted. I think on top of it, too, as you know, how do these guys even know about paying taxes? Can you imagine what a
Exactly.
situation
They
is
don't. They
at that
don't.
age? They might be having the money come to their parents. The parents are
Yep.
educated about it.
Nope.
That's going to be a major problem. And they're going to be spending, God forbid, the rest of their life trying to
Yes.
get out of that hole. So
It already
that's
is a big problem. I deal with it so much, and really, like the way that I got involved, like in NIL, was and got it, became a wealth manager, right? And broker, like after retiring, have the wealth management firm, everything as you know. But he was actually here in Ohio. It was one of the early NIL stars was C.J. Stroud, and so right here at Ohio State. And there was a clip that went viral, and it was about his sixth big NIL deal. It was like a Bose NIL deal, right? And he got like $100,000 Bose NIL deal, and he magnanimously gave like $1,000, gave it all away, gave $1,000 to like each of his 100 teammates and like a pair of headphones or whatever. Gave that deal away to his teammates. And everybody, my initial reaction when I saw that was like everybody else is like, man, that's really cool. That tells me, about that young man. And about as soon as that thought was in my mind, another thought came in. It was like, oh shit. Like, who is telling him that the government's still going to want 40% of that come tax season? And then he created another 100 taxable events for each of his teammates.
Well, Blake, you're a rarity that you even understand that. I mean, Dad never had, he didn't have to grow up in this situation with the IL, but you're catching it now, and you're so vigilant enough, and you're a blessing to that generation. So they're like, whoa. You don't need to take my advice, but you really should, because what's going on here is a very, very scary situation.
No doubt.
And again, like the planning part of it, that they actually just think it's never going to end. So you're taking these kids at 17, 18-year-old freshman year in colleges. Now they can legally and legitimately make the money, or they're getting branding deals and posting deals and sponsorships, and bam, that one injury, or if it's just a tougher draft class and they don't get in, their entire world is turned upside down.
Yeah. Hey, no doubt, no doubt. And then it's still such a wild west. It's gotten way better since then, which was only a couple of years ago, but it's still like the wild west. Like, nobody paying taxes, parents still claiming them as dependents, and then being shocked like when all of a sudden that NIL money hits their tax bill,
100%.
because and all that type of stuff, commingled accounts, because the kids, like, you look at like two of the top players in the country right now are both 17-year-old freshmen wide receivers. Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State and Ryan Williams down there. So they've got like literally like they've got because they're 17, like they've got commingled accounts because they have to still with their parents, and they've got all of it coming in. It's crazy, and we got to just keep working together to do what we can to make inroads and make impact on all that stuff.
100%.
No doubt. And it's so fantastic that, the Legacy Fund and what you're doing and the education and all that type of stuff, because I've been involved with that in the National Football League and doing that year after year after year after year with the guys. And it's gotten a little bit better, but it's still a long way that it has to go.
And I feel like there's always like God alignment. And when Andy told me about you guys and wanting to meet, I knew there was a much bigger picture. That's why I was like, I need to connect with my boy Ammo. And I know like the year's short now, whatever. We got about 6 weeks because December really doesn't do much. But I know we're going to really build out some great events where both of you guys could be a part of it, speaking on your experience and your strength and your hope for these young athletes to avoid it. But it's not just the athletes, man. The parents need to start attending.
Parents too, yes.
Yep.
No doubt. Amen to that. And hey, we appreciate you joining us, my man. I know. I'm sure you gotta run, so we'll let you run. But we really appreciate you joining us, telling us some of your stories and impact, and appreciate your friendship, and look forward to some more of these events this year.
Awesome, guys. Thank you again. I look forward to it. Happy to come back anytime.
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
you, Darren.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, brother.
Good luck, Cleveland. Come on, you got to pull the.
I know, they gotta
Here
pull
we
it out.
go.
You got to make it interesting. All right.
I know.
Thanks,
See you, my
guys.
man.
See you,
Thank
bud.
you. Lovely.
Well, that was again great, Darren Prince. So awesome to have him join us. And I mean, he's like again one of those people just behind the scenes who people don't know is like the godfather of in the sports and like kind of like you said, like the athlete and entertainers world. Like when you get into fighting, wrestling, basketball, football, and then like kind of like Hollywood and whatnot. A big time OG, godfather of that. And so it's just like always, just like the stories, are just, and the people around him and what is always amazing, even for people that have spent a life in pro sports like this.
Yep.
It's still always astounding. So we appreciate him joining the pregame show right now. But hey, I think we're going to go to a commercial break right now. And when we come back, we're going to try to see what's happening here at the end of this Guardians game. And hopefully they can pull it out. And then we're going to get into the Thursday night football game.
Here we go.
And
We're back.
We are back. We are all the way back. I am here. I'm sorry, everybody. But you know what? Sometimes it's better when you bring me late to the party because I've been known to break some shit, guys. And you definitely don't want me around classy people like that.
Yeah.
That was a great segment.
That's why I just told G-Dub to move his Diet Coke off of off and away from all the AV and soundboard stuff. I already knew.
That's all right. Hey, we're down one mixer board. We're down to our second. So what's another one? Hey, it wouldn't be the Dude Network without it. But I don't know if you guys have been watching this game, but it has been sad but crazy. And now they're back into it. So Guardians currently got runners at first and second, eighth. They gave up back-to-back ROM to their murderer's row to give up the lead. I don't know, coaches, but they always say don't let your star player beat you, and that's exactly what just happened.
No doubt. And right now, as I love the way that they stayed strong mentally, and they've got to keep on going because the game's not over.
No doubt. It's been the longest freaking 7th and 8th inning. I mean, we're still in the 8th, right? I can't see enough. We're still in the 8th. It's been the longest 7th and 8th inning, man, because it is the 7th inning before we started the show. But they got these 3 runs right here.
I got a bone to pick with Blake, though. And he even said, they're like, hey, do you want one TV on the football game and one on the baseball game? He goes, nah, baseball game will be over. And the guy's like, boy, I hope you're wrong. I hope you're right. He goes, I can't believe you'd say that. And here we are in the longest 8th inning after a lead blown. Oh, so Blake Williams' fault. You heard it here first. Yeah.
It's totally my fault.
Yeah, I mean, they heard it.
I
man.
jinxed them.
We're close enough to the stadium. I know that word got around. But still an exciting game. This is what October's all about. I mean, the city of Cleveland really showed up today. And, just really proud of the team. I mean, it sucks it's coming down to this, that if they can't get one here, they're in a pretty dark hole. But still, everyone needs, I think, to remember in Cleveland, this was not expected. We won a playoff series, which is always, always a big deal in Cleveland because we haven't had a lot of them over the years.
Yep.
Not a lot of them.
But, the thing about it is the game's not over, and this is why you work so hard to get ready to do these type of things when it counts. This is what makes you great, okay? And be able to do it now when all the pressure is on you. You got to calm yourself, do your job, and let's be great.
Well, we got the pinch hitting hero from the Series 1, David Fry, into the bat right now. This is an interesting one, and as you saw, a lot of assists from that outfield out here. So if you're going to hit a single, you better get it in the gap, or they're not going to let that guy go around third. But running on contact, oh.
Hey, I have an important question for you and for the viewers. So when we were on with Darren, did you get a chance to sample any of the Knob Creek?
I have not yet, but I know Justin is excited to come over and talk about it.
Yep.
I saw a maple syrup barrel finish.
Oh yeah,
that did not look like it sucked at all.
I already know that. Not only that, but tonight they're making the Grotto House Old Fashioned with that, and so they've got it's a maple old fashioned that they've got.
Extra club soda.
It actually may have club soda. It's got something in it. It's got cherry and something. I was like, good Lord, but
That's probably the best old fashioned ever. If it's got
I'm definitely
club soda.
going. I'm definitely going with that though tonight.
No, you can't not swing the bat.
Did he just
didn't even? Yeah, you can't take the third strike. Ooh, that's right. That's right. These guys are pros. I'm not. So, hey, that's the dynamic of this show. I want to talk about is this is a really cool dynamic where you got some dude that didn't even finish high school football that literally goes wearing those Carhartt jeans that have like some farm stains on somewhere. But 2 NFL coaches. So we got the pros and the Joes here, and there ain't too many shows that are bringing this very fun dynamic. So it's been an absolute blast, and yeah, it's a really good time for sure.
It is, and all the people here, the fans that are here too, it's great to interact with them. This is a great place to be. And again, we all right now got to send all of our waves and thoughts to help the Guardians pull this thing out.
They definitely do. I'm telling you, if they play a good 9th inning, half as good as this cigar lounge smells, I mean, we're getting all the good smells up in here tonight. I mean,
yeah, no doubt.
And that's what's cool about the Grotto Bar for everybody watching. Thank you for them letting us hang out here for the last few Thursdays. But they always have these really cool events. And, you know, where I come from, you don't really get to do a lot of this. So it's really cool to come up here and see the extra things that you can do when you come to the city. And it's a really cool experience. They got all this sample bourbons everywhere, tasting cards, water to flush it all out with. They got sliders going on up here. I mean, this is really cool. This is really cool.
$5 burger night. That's another reason I'm hoping the guards can pull it off. You know, selfishly, is because I want because I know people are going to be rolling over here to Barley and the Grotto when they get out of the game, and I'd rather them be in a good mood than a mad, sad mood.
I want people to come in. They might just say, "I'm going home. I got beer at home."
I'm like Blake. I want them to be in a good mood, so let's pull this win out.
Yeah, no
good
doubt.
Good vibes. Let's go Guards. We got this. I tell you what, though, it's Class A was on such a run.
Yeah,
you couldn't. I mean, they've been burning that guy 6 innings. 6 outs an outing, and when you're only used to doing 3, maybe 20 pitches, and you're in your 6th game in 2 weeks, throwing 40 pitches, like that's got to suck. But when you're a young team and your bullpen's gotten that far, you got, as you guys know as coaches, and tell me if I'm wrong, this is that Joe's outlook compared to what you guys have seen in the locker room. You got to ride the hot hand that got you there. You can't, if your hot girl got you to the prom, you don't leave her at the altar,
No doubt. You've got to continue to do that. Those are the best players. And also, from a mental strength standpoint, all the rest of the players understand that, okay, we're going with our best guys at all times. Let's not have an excuse for why somebody else didn't get their opportunity. Hey, the best guys got us this far. Now the best guys got to win it.
And you were a pitcher, G-Dub. So talk about, and I know like you played with some great ones and played against some great ones both in college and in high school. What was maybe some of like the most epic like battles, pitching battles, these sorts of situations that you got yourself in?
Yeah, the biggest thing in the world is that can you continue to control that player that is coming up to bat against you because of what you've done before. You got to stay ahead of the next pitch. What have you shown him? How are you tricking him? What are you doing? And then when it comes down to it, okay, can you throw it by him? And I laugh and I smile all the time now, different than when I was playing, is that I'd also throw at them to make sure they were playing dodgeball because I didn't want to get hit by a 100-mile-an-hour ball coming up beside their head.
Did you have lots of brawls?
We had brawls, okay, but none could ever get to the pitcher's mound to me.
I feel like that was a rhetorical question.
Yeah. Have you seen him on it?
I was like, I feel like he already knows the answer to this.
Have you seen him call defense on the sideline? Yeah. Imagine him with a ball in his hand and able to throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
My favorite baseball player, okay, was Bob Gibson. And if you even frowned at him, here it comes at you. And it was because of that, and that's how I learned watching Bob Gibson to make sure you put fear in the eyes of everybody that stepped inside the batter's box to get ready to play, try to hit the ball off of you.
Who is the best player or the biggest biggest pitching battle that you got into, or the best player you played against?
Yeah, I played against all of them, and my best friend growing up played for the Royals, Jack Talley.
Yep.
He played on the same team with me, and then went into business after he got hurt and wasn't able to go. But played against some really good ones, and they
played with Al Nipper, and so you wouldn't have necessarily gotten you wouldn't have necessarily gotten in any battles against him.
No. But I played with them on the same team in college, all that kind of stuff, and it was like an all-day event just getting him to do things right. Because I had to intimidate him to stay on time, to do everything he was supposed to be doing, because he was a very free-spirited person.
Oh, I'm sure that went over real well with you as the captain, because you're so free fucking spirited.
Not only captain, but I was the coach. Okay.
Well, that's right, because your senior year, because your coach
had the only two-time captain up
or whatever.
There, and then I was basically the head coach my senior year because of some difficulties going on there with our head coach. Okay, health-wise and everything. So and then every day I would have one of those come to Jesus meetings, okay, to make sure he understood how we're going to do it.
Al and the star player / pain in the ass on the team, freshman. Your baby brother.
My younger brother, who was, and his picture is in the dictionary next to pain in the ass. Okay,
but he probably still holds the. He just played that one. He just went to school that one semester with you because he wouldn't go to class. But he probably still holds the single season batting record, right?
Yeah, right now he does. He still holds that single season
500 something,
record,
whatever it was.
He was an amazing player, but he was allergic to doing things right and allergic to ever going to class.
He just wanted to push your buttons. Same way you would do it on the.
Everybody's got to have that younger sibling that it's like when they come out, that's like, all right, well, I got one job in life. Let's succeed.
Oh yeah, and he has the way, and still has the way, in a unique way of knowing exactly when he's pushing the button to get the real me to stand out.
Oh, as the Yankees now have a runner at first, bottom of the 8th. But now there is one top of the ninth. I'm sorry, top of the. So you were talking about the best. Jose Ramirez is batting in the bottom of the 9th. So that is a storyline. We got to get people excited to stay tuned in here. Jose Ramirez will be batting in the bottom of the 9th, and not Naylor, the guys that have gotten you this far with offensive production. So I do think, you're going to get your best shot at their closer. It's going to be an interesting 9th here. But right now, Eli Morgan's got to get us out of this top of the 9th to keep this a one-run game, because one swing of Jose's bat into the home run porch, and we're tied up. Oh, boy. What a play. What a play. Got him run down. And that is another base-running blunder. Oh, he dropped it.
God.
Oh, no.
You got to be.
Golly, you can't do that in that spot.
He could play running back for the Browns.
Receiver.
The ball possession.
Tell you what, that stiff arm was pretty good to knock the ball out, though, by the runner. We might need to get him up the. Oh, look at this. Here it comes.
You've got to.
Jose is the guy to drop it. Oh, no. No way, Jose.
Out of his glove before he even
jeez. Cover both points. Oh, man. This is unfortunate.
Jesus.
Well, as we wait on them to figure out here what's going on, we got an interesting game tonight. One that you guys are on Thursday Night Football, where we're going to pivot here to the NFL. We got Sean Payton. You guys all wear the same ring against the Broncos, as he's hosting your old team that he won the team with, the Saints. So a little bit conflicted here. You're kind of invested on both sides of the fence, but you got to pick one. You're going to go who gave you the ring, right?
I will tell you this, is that Blake and I were talking about this on our way down here tonight, and I think right now the Saints playing at home, and it's going to be a very, very, very loud, raucous crowd. and they do a great job of making it tough on opponents. But I think the Broncos are the favorite in this for me, just because the Saints have a ton of injuries, and Dennis is going to have to be juggling the lineup a ton just to be able to play and make it a competitive game. And Sean Payton, now, I'm telling you, okay, he's the best offensive coach I've ever had a chance to work with, and this is going to be a big game for him coming back to New Orleans too.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the injuries change things, right? And so it's a battle of the rookies tonight, right, because of Derek Carr being out for a while. And so Bo Nix versus Spencer Rattler.
I liked Rattler at USC. He had like 40 career starts, number one recruit. I always had a big spotlight on him. And I thought he kind of got overlooked in the draft. He led the SEC in passing the last 2 years.
I'll actually be surprised, just knowing like what I know about both teams. I think they know each other so well, and I've been talking about this. Like, I don't think there's two staffs in the league that know each other, and two opposing play callers that know each other more than these two staffs do, right? I mean, Dennis Allen started coaching for Sean Payton in 2006, right? And probably I would say for 1, 2, 3 years. So from 2006 to 2022, there was only 3 years there that Dennis Allen and Sean Payton didn't coach together, right? And so there's, I mean, you got to think about the sheer amount of practice reps and time and that you go through against each other, each other's hand signals, code words inside and out. But I think even with all the injuries tonight, I'll be surprised if it's a high scoring game, because I think Dennis Allen and Vance Joseph are both going to flat get after these rookie quarterbacks and what they have the ability to do on defense and how they treat rookie quarterbacks and kind of scheme for them. I think we could see a very, it could be the first person. It could be one of those games, especially on a short week, where it's the first team to double digits wins. It could be a 10-9,
I hope not.
10-9 sort of game.
That's not good for our late night parlay. We do not need that for the late night parlay.
I know. We
need overs
with potentially a bunch of takeaways, but who knows? I could be wrong as well too. But that's kind of how I'm predicting the game going right now. Is it's going to be a defensive, and who knows? It may be a scoring game because the defenses are scoring on on takeaways. But I think it's going to be these defenses are both going to come at these rookie quarterbacks and give them everything they want tonight.
So here's a question: if we're talking about rookie quarterbacks, talked about Spencer Rattler, kind of got thrown into it. Really good situation for him. Kind of got thrown into a winning team vibe mentality, kind of hopefully took care of Baby Huey out there a little bit. That's what I call all rookies. I don't know. I feel like you would call him Baby Huey, so I'm going to call him Baby Huey. But so how has your guys' analysis been of Bo Nix so far in this one?
I've seen Bo grow. And again, with Sean Payton, I've seen him grow week by week by week. He has had some struggles. But the biggest thing that Sean does a very good job on is that Sean will run the ball, and Sean will do a bunch of trick 7 or 8 man protections to give him a chance to take shots down the field. If Dennis wants to, be blitz happy and come after him, he's going to have to make sure he has what we call some adders to make sure he still wins versus some of these 7 and 8 man protections that you're going to see Sean Payton do to take shots down the field versus some of the cover 0 blitz man-to-man defenses if he does that. Now, with all that being said and done, Bo has done a very good job of growing. He's got a very good attitude. He's able to handle Sean's demanding culture that Sean will put on him. So I do believe exactly what Blake said is I think you're going to see both defensive coordinators get after the rookie quarterbacks, and it'll be who is coached the best to handle the pressure in their face.
Yeah, it'll be I do think, with both rookie quarterbacks, like you said, so when you have 2 rookie quarterbacks, and Blake kind of alluded to it, with it being kind of it might be a defensive game, is that normally the case when you have a short week? From a Joe asking a pro, I guess, how much time do you have the rookie quarterback to get ready in a short week situation? And what do you do in a short week to kind of condense a game plan down?
It is tough. It's tougher on a rookie, especially a rookie that hasn't done those kind of fast things. But with Sean and Dennis both, they were preparing for this weeks ahead of time. And they were already sprinkling things in and teaching things that weren't being shown on weeks ahead of time so that they would get reps on some of this stuff that were going to be dialed back up and ready to go. Now, the biggest thing, and Blake and I talked about this a while ago, is the injury situation with some of the preem and some of the supreme and prime players that New Orleans has aren't going to play. And so it's going to be interesting to see how, and Sean does a great job of analyzing every single position and every single player that's playing into the game. And he's going to challenge some of these new guys that are getting a shot, okay, on this stage, and the pressure of being on this stage in front of everybody. Sean's going to challenge some of these newer guys with the Saints.
So would you say an interesting concept, an interesting matchup for everybody to watch tonight going into the game? If there's going to be 7, 8 guys in the box, that means there's going to be a Cortland Sutton versus their DB1 versus wide receiver 1. Is that going to be the X factor matchup to not give up any home run balls?
And I think there's going to be some X factor matchups right there. And then both Vance, Joseph, and Dennis are also, once they can get you into those protections, they will trick you and not bring everybody and come out and play some form of a zone coverage, but still get a one-on-one matchup, maybe with a backer versus a running back, or a defensive end versus an offensive tackle, and nobody else coming after that person because they faked you into thinking we're bringing everybody, but we're not bringing everybody. So you're going to see some simulated pressures also. It's going to be a blitz fest.
Interesting. So it sounds like the over/under sacks might be a number.
It could be. It could be. We'll see. And again, how good a job are they doing talking about, how you block unblock rushers is get it out of your hand, quarterback. You are blocking, okay, those people by not holding the ball. Are you a fast processor and not holding the ball? And even in some of those situations as a quarterback, an incomplete pass is better than taking a sack. Okay, get it out of your hand. Okay, don't get a penalty by just throwing it away and getting a bad throw that way, but get it out of your hand and help the protections that way.
Here we have the game is actually they showed they're 6 minutes into it there. It's still 0-0 with 9 minutes to go in the first, as they gave a little look in during as we wait for the Guardians game to come to an end here. We are in Cleveland, so it's hard to pull the Guardians off TV.
It's hard to do that. I know. I totally get that.
So is this your first time experiencing a Guardians postseason like that, where you're actually here in town able to take in a little bit?
In a postseason, we went to a Guardians game earlier in the year, back in the summer, and it was great. And I love going to baseball games too.
Beautiful ballpark.
It is. And I grew up with the old Kansas City A's in Kansas City, and then when they moved to Oakland, I became a big-time St. Louis Cardinals fan, and, my father-in-law, was the great announcer for them. He played 10 years and was a Hall of Fame player, and then 50 years as a Hall of Fame broadcaster. He and Jack Buck of the St. Louis Cardinals. So I've always been a big-time baseball fan, love going to games, and got a chance to do that one time this summer.
This is from Victoria.
Okay.
This is the
Victoria's awesome. Everybody come see Victoria.
This is the Grotto Maple Old Fashioned, a knob. So they've specially made here tonight, right? And so it's the Knob Creek 9-year maple bourbon finish.
9 years.
Yeah, but it's cherry. But I'm very pissed off though. Okay, I'm very pissed off, and I feel like she's just doing it to just like F with you and F with us after last night.
She put soda in it.
It's got club soda in it.
Now she's also the same one that told me no.
Never. Belongs. But hey, it's on the menu and everything here tonight. And so, is this a highball or is it an old fashioned? I don't know, but we're gonna taste test it. Thank you, Knob Creek, and thank you, Justin.
Club soda for the win. Didn't hear it.
Oh, that's still pretty dang good.
That maple's strong, bro.
That's still pretty dang good. And that maple's just the club soda honestly cuts it. You need to try a can I get that maple right there? He needs to try just.
Hey, actually, is that for us to
yes.
work with? Hey, let's go ahead and work on
On the pairing, yeah.
Okay, so this one's on the right. So can we get?
I got it. Yeah.
Rebecca's here. She's awesome. She's going to help us bring.
Or do you want me to? Yeah. You got it.
Keep them organized there.
Thank you. Yep.
All right. So
So the one I gave you is the maple. So this is the Knob Creek smoked maple.
Far left.
This is the far. No, this is this one. Yep. All right. So we have the four. The four that we have here is we have a Knob Creek 9-year. This is a benchmark bourbon, patiently aged in white oak barrels for 9 years and bottled at 100 proof. Then we've got the Knob Creek Rye, patiently aged for 7 years for the perfect balance between sweet barrel notes and spicy rye character, also 100 proof.
So are these Knob Creek is a bourbon, not a whiskey, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so wow, we're getting 9-year. Man, we're getting.
And we've got the Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve, unblended to show off the singular nature of each hand-choosing barrel at 120 proof. I know they have 120 proof and they have 125 proof. And then the Knob Creek Smoked Maple. And so you've tried this. Try this and get that maple taste.
All right.
It literally tastes like there's maple syrup in there.
Some dude trying shit he has no business trying.
Pinky up. How smooth is that?
I don't want that
You
later.
said that you don't want that bottle later on.
Yeah, that one.
You said it goes down way too
I got
easy.
an hour and a half drive. That's not conducive for my behavior.
I
Everybody would like me to have that bottle in there. Things would definitely get broke. Yeah.
it's so. I mean, that's dangerous. Can you? I mean, I can sit there and just drink that all night long. Like put a rocks cube in there and just drink that. It goes down way too smooth, especially for 90 proof. Hey, I'm gonna actually.
There you go.
I'm gonna top off my maple old fashioned.
We have a question for you. Why?
She said.
I mean, hang on a second. I'm gonna scare it off. Was it never ever? Never? No.
She said.
Oh, so it's
So I thought it was just to mess with
no
Tony.
accountability at all.
She said when she read the.
You are correct. I'm totally coming after you for it.
So for the people who missed the show last week, Tony, just as natural as could be, just like saying 1 + 1 is 2, duh, was just like, yeah. And then you can I had club soda in my old fashioned, and then you can do this. And I'm like, well, what? It's like, yeah, like, don't you make your old fashioned with club soda? I'm like, no, and nobody does, because that's not an old fashioned.
That's not true. Don't say nobody.
Like an old fashioned is a very simple, very easy recipe.
Best old fashioned I've had here yet. I mean,
And I was like,
there's no coincidence.
I was like, that is a highball. That's a soda and whiskey, or
We don't know what that is.
a soda bourbon. You know what a highball is?
I don't know. I'm a dude.
That's like the original cocktails. Like we're talking about like late 1800s. As like cocktails started to become even like more popular globally, a highball is like a highball glass and a highball.
Yeah, I got the highball glass.
It's like and so that's what the highball is.
I would call that like a sour or a spritzer.
Yeah, or like a Tom Collins, like those sorts of things of the world, and that's like what a highball was, right? And so therein lies like. So I was like, that's what this is like, and so a lot of times like a highballs would be some sort of spirit, and then like club soda or tonic, right?
Okay.
So and like those would be like considered to sweeten it up a little bit or cut it.
You know what's funny is like I've never followed a recipe book. I just know ingredients and flavors, so I've always just kind of thrown stuff together and invented stuff. Because whenever I got into the career, I was a car salesman. You didn't drink nice things at the car lot. You had an 18-pack.
You should
of garage beer tucked underneath there for late night, and then you go down to the bar and drink more $2 beers, and the bars we went to didn't have this stuff. So old fashions kind of got me into the cocktail game. Then here at the Grotto, since there's best bourbon selection I've ever seen, by the way, ever, like every Pappy, every Weller, everything. But yeah, so like I've been trying some different things up here. I had the Manhattan last week, so I'm growing. It takes me some time. Rome wasn't built overnight. Shout out to Harvard. Full circle. Let's go.
Full circle. Cheers to that.
Cheers to
that.
To the Romans.
See, that's what happens when you and I get together. People don't know. Like, even like when I've been on like Dudes After Dark and whatnot, Like we'll be going like talking Troubadour Spice, then going into Georgia Strait, then going into Ancient Rome, and just
Yeah.
like give us a little bit of bourbon and a mic and
Topics
some
go.
time to just like free talk.
It's like you've
Yeah.
discovered the secret of the Dude Network, and you kind of just spit it out for everybody. Thanks
That's
for
exactly that. It's
All
like
right, well, the secret's out.
that's the concept of the Dude Network, and that's the concept of like what we're honestly doing with our Champions Corner,
Yeah, we
which
wanna
was like,
be
hey,
everything.
yeah, which is like it's not just like a Manning cast type simulcast that's a little bit like sterile, like from your house. No, it's like giving that feeling, that live stream feeling of like what you would be doing, a bunch of dudes sitting there watching a game in a really cool venue where you've got, say, like a bourbon pairing being put on by Knob Creek, and it's a bourbon cigar pairing, and you're kind of half-ass or like 3/4 ass watching the game, but then you're also just like talking about like whether club soda is supposed to be in an old fashioned or not, right?
And apparently it is.
And
so,
talking about Rome,
you know,
right? And Harvard,
I took one on
and
the
whatever
table
else
this
it
week.
goes.
I wore.
No, did he?
I'm not. Cheers to that. I wasn't ready. Normally, I'm the one with those references. I don't know what's going on here.
It's the club soda. It's got me.
Yeah, it's that.
It's got me
club
going.
soda. It's the poison. It's the venom getting into your pores.
No doubt.
So we tried the smoked maple from Knob Creek, which was, oh my god,
Too
that was
smooth.
90 proof. Which 90s, So this next one here, if there's one I'm not going to like, it's the single barrel reserve because I'm not a full cask strength guy. But a good one, smooth. And
Are you a rye guy? Are you a what are you? Are you an oak guy?
I am wheat 1, corn 2, rye 3, but it's not like there's a big gap between. But like my Wellers, my Blantons, my Eagle Rares, like my wheat base, those are the smoother ones. But as a guy that used to make my own moonshine and age it in my backyard,
There you go. I know a lot about that being from Tennessee.
Let's go. We'll bring it up to Berea. We'll show the
Tennessee.
We'll show your cul-de-sac how we
Have
do.
you ever seen the movie Lawless?
Hang on.
Come
Yeah,
on.
Lawless. We got one. I'm losing my hat. You're welcome. Look at that beautiful.
Woo!
Woo! There's a shine on that thing tonight.
He used to have hair before he started putting club soda in his old fashions.
I'm married.
that too. Which happy anniversary, by the way, my man. Congrats to that.
By the way, you guys want to hear that? You want to know how it really went down?
Yeah, I do want to know.
So I was in State College, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and I hope she's not. Well, no, I realized I was like going, and I realized I was looking at my calendar. I was at a liquor store, and I realized I'm like TikTok payday came in, and I'm like, what's on the 15th? And I go, oh no. And at that point, Chip texts me from 3 Overs Daily, tune it, staying here at 9 o'clock, and he joins in. And he goes, happy anniversary. And I go, yeah, about that. So I call my wife, and I'm like, yeah, not happy with myself. She's like, that's okay, I forgot too. So it was like 5 o'clock at State College, and I booked 5 hours through downtown Pittsburgh to get home to celebrate anniversary. But thank you so much. But yeah, I totally forgot.
What year?
That is our 7th. And here's the funny part. Our first day meeting was on the October 15th. Our engagement party is October 15th. Got married on October 15th, and I still forgot it. So I even tried my best. I even tried to do my best to mind screw myself. But by the way, we got a
5-3. I thought that
what
was
happened?
I guess it was
Did it get thrown?
yeah, it get bounced back in. I thought it was a home run.
Jose was on second. So what happened? Why is it not 5-4? I could have swore it was 5-4. I missed whatever happened. I don't know.
No, I think we thought it was a home run, and it was a double.
Big Christmas has not had his October
This-
moment yet.
See, this is another perfect example though of like. Get out! Get out! No! Let's go! Boom! I called it! God gets it!
Christmas came early! Oh, here we go!
Let's go!
Didn't have
Let's
to
go.
put club soda in old fashions. Let's go!
G-Dub said more bourbon.
Okay. Woo!
Now you gotta do that to single barrel reserve.
Yeah, let's go. No way this is bad. So this has been aged. It's the single barrel reserve, so which means it hasn't been. It's a 9-year.
It's
So this should be
unblended.
wet smooth on the nose. It is smooth. Wow. I can't believe that just happened. That is good.
It is very good.
So for me to like 120, I take some talent, and to me, that's where the craftsmanship of bourbon comes in. If you can make something that's supposed to be really rough, like that smooth, then you nailed it. Knob Creek.
That's what she said.
Oh God, we're flowing.
Oh, man, that's
God.
huge. Come on now, finish
Hey,
strong, baby.
Shout out to Chip too.
Finish strong.
He said,
He said a lot.
he said Noel okay.
Is that 17 texts from Chip in a 3-minute period?
Because he goes, Noel means Christmas. Noel's about to deliver a gift. Oh my effing G. Dude, I called that. And the announcer copied me. OMFG, let's go. OMGGGG. Let's go, dude. Wow. I called it. Let's go.
That's awesome, dude.
Oh my God. I can't believe we got that to have that reaction on this.
Woo!
That was.
Woo!
That changes.
Come on, Cleveland.
That changes,
Come on, Cleveland.
That changes. See, who's up 3-0? Broncos are up 3-0 on the Saints early.
We don't even care about Thursday Night Football right now.
We will get to that game, but right now we're not here to talk about that.
But listen,
We're not here to talk about that.
wait, when that shot was hit, I was getting ready to say this. I was starting to say this, and which it was perfect. I was starting to say, hey, this is what the idea of Champions Corner is, right? Is this like this very organic live experience mixed with the simulcast, which is like, look, we're wanting to talk about Thursday Night Football. That's normally what we're doing, but we're going to have guys like Darren Prince on to talk about Magic Johnson and talk about, Dan Marino and talk about Joe Montana and talk about those guys. And then, oh, by the way, like Game 3 of the ALCS is going on right down the street, walking distance from here, which, when the NFL season started and we had this planned out, wasn't planned out. In fact, it wasn't until a week ago that we knew Game 3 was going to be at the same time.
Right.
And then, Knob Creek says, hey, we want to come in and do a bourbon pair and cigar bearing.
And we're going to make
and we want to do it we want to do it on Thursday night. Would that be cool? Yes, that would be cool. The more the merrier.
I'll twist my arm.
That's what Champions Corner is all about. It's like it goes straight into a baseball simulcast that will eventually become a football simulcast that will eventually become a late night parlay simulcast, which will eventually become hopefully a championship night for everybody.
Well,
and that's what it's about. And that's why you tune in to the Dude Network.
We're here we're here just to have a champion's mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be a pro athlete to be a champion. You can just wake up and change your kids' diapers and get them breakfast and clean the dishes for your wife wakes up to be a champion. Champion's just doing that little extra, to make a little bit difference.
Let me tell you about hey, for people out there that know of the persona, at least the public persona of G-Dub, Gregg Williams, Coach Gregg Williams, we probably wouldn't be surprised at this. You're talking about being a champion, and then you went to diaper changing, and like it just all of a sudden. I started getting that tick I do, that PTSD tick I do around
I'm
G-Dub.
out of it. We're done too.
But when I was still a diaper wearer, and I can remember this at still a young age, G-Dub was a educator. He was actually Teacher of the Year in Missouri. Like the only trophy, the only award or whatever that he ever is proud of or kind of shows off. It's not his actually Super Bowl ring. It's not his Lombardi trophy. It's his brass apple from being the Teacher of the Year in the state of Missouri in 1981 at whatever he was, 23 years old or whatever. But he was a teacher, an educator, and a coach. And then he was a young parent that had me as his crash test on me. But he would sit there and we do he'd change my diaper and he'd be like, okay, now you got to initially walk over and drop it in the trash can. And then, okay, now you got to walk over and you got to toss it from a toss away. Okay, now you've got to toss it in there, shoot it in there with your right hand. Now I'm gonna tape it up and toss it to you. You got to catch it and turn it around and
With
throw
the
it.
dirty diaper?
Oh yeah, I mean you get it all wrapped up, right?
I mean, it's still,
Not a blowout,
like
diaper.
no wasted moment.
Not a
ever.
blowout diaper. But it was all those things that he was teaching us to be coach. Like he was teaching us at like literally a year old, 12 months, 13 months old. Be coachable, be able to handle, and then hand-eye coordination, all of those sorts of things that like we carry to this day. But literally, when you want to know what the Williams household was like we thought it was just fun, and it was fun. It was just like daddy time. But it was all of these lessons behind the lessons that was like we were constantly getting taught, and I think that's the thing that I think people always experience with G-Dub, and he's in here holding court right now in the grotto. Is like you may get 1 minute with him, and you may get 1 hour with him, and you may get 1 year with him, and you feel like even if you only got 1 minute with him, that it was your most it was like you had his undivided attention, and it was like the most intense 1 minute that you ever had. Like
I will say,
like
being around you guys, it is like uplifting. You guys just carry that mentality around you, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass or anything. Like when I just saw you like around the kids, like when you guys stopped at Garraway, shout out Garraway, 49.
Shout out Garraway, right here.
There we go.
Garraway, good luck tomorrow night.
That's right.
Good luck tomorrow night. Go 2-0 because you're going 1-0 every single week.
And we're going to keep a tally. Garraway has outscored their opponents 49-7 since the coaches have come down to the stadium. But yeah, I would say, but only like that. But and another thing I'm going to talk on real quick on the whole Champions Corner is, if there's like one trait I could tell everybody to have, especially in the workplace and even like in the relationships, is like learn how to just accept accountability. And it's okay to be wrong, because I have learned if you're capable of saying sorry, my bad, and doing something about it, people look at you immediately at a higher level, and you're always trying to separate yourself from the masses. How can I move up quicker? Well, if you're a responsible person that takes accountability but acts on that and then like learns from those mistakes, like I encourage everybody to go out and start failing right away. Like best thing you can do is to start failing, but
no doubt
it's pointless if you don't take accountability along the way.
No, I mean, and you hit so much in a short amount of time right there. Is like, I mean, it goes back to like the end, right? Like Thomas Edison, even like even like inventing the light bulb, like took me 2,000 tries. And I didn't fail 2,000 times. I just found 1,999 ways not to make a light bulb, right? And how you perceive that. And that was our that was always G-Dub and I's kind of thought process on life, and what we try to instill with our players as well too. Is we used to tell them all the time, like, dude, the meeting room and the practice field, like that is your laboratory. Like we were out here experimenting, like. Do not do some stuff on game day that you didn't have like the nuts to ask about or talk about in meetings or try on the practice field. Like, if you want to be the Troy Polamalu, like bogey, like disguising up like you're going to blitz over the center and then go, but you're really supposed to be playing deep middle of the field and then go drop back. Like, don't just like invent that stuff like on mid game in the middle of the game. And that's also going to distract your teammates. Like on the practice field, that's where you fail, because you can fail in a safe place and you can learn from it, right? And we're going to stretch you guys. And we always used to urge them to, like, even on the practice field or the meeting rooms to go at max speed, because like we can't help you or we can't coach you when you're just like going through the motions, because like, well, you're getting ready to play Tom Brady. You're getting ready to play Drew Brees. You're getting ready to play Peyton Manning. Like, you could, like, it's max speed, and you could be doing everything exactly right, perfect at the max speed that you can physically play. And guess what? They're still going to torch you.
Yeah.
Right. But like, if you're not doing it on the practice field or doing it even with speed of thought in the meeting room, like you're not gonna know and understand that, right? And you're going to be shocked by that on game day. And so that's what we're always trying to push people that we're around to doing is like. Boom! There we go.
We got this. I'm telling you. I don't want to jinx it, but golly.
Is how to be your best self, like, especially this as well, too. Like, you can think about these guys. Even though they play way more games in baseball than they do in the other sports, right? They still practice more and have put in more practice time in their lives than they do playing time. Now, when you go down to football, the practice to playing time is like 92-8. Like if I'm gonna be real specific, like 92% of your time to 95% of your time as a football player is spent practicing or training, lifting weights and training, 5% performing.
How much
So-
is rehab though too?
Yeah,
Like,
if you
I mean, football's a more physical
when you
sport.
well, if you get into rehab now, it's like and so you miss time, like miss games. Now you're
I
getting in
guess
even
like on
more.
the weekly bumps and bruises. Like how often are you talking like recouping?
Oh,
time,
yeah.
rehabbing, like getting it from
That's-
80% after the game back up to 100%.
Well, no. I was just talking about time.
Yeah.
Like literally, if you sit there and think about it, like time spent. I'm a football player. I'm a high school football player, college football player, NFL football player. Like 95% of my time spent doing football is spent not performing on game day. It is meeting, it is practicing, it is weightlifting, it is doing cardio, it is training, skills training, it's rehabbing. Like 95% of my time is spent just for 5% of this performance time.
Right.
And so you need to maximize that 95% of your time so that you, one, don't have performance anxiety. You have max confidence because you know what you're about, what it is, all that stuff. Like when it gets to these moments where it's 5-5, right? In the 10th, in extra innings, in game 3 of the ALCS, in front of your home crowd, you're already down 2-0. Like you got to win this game to stay alive. And if you win this game, it transforms things, right?
Right.
Like, but
It really does. Like
here's the thing about it, though. Every time he is pitched into this was our philosophy. Every time he's pitched into the bag in his life, every time he's thrown the ball in his life, it needs to be this situation. And if you're doing a pitching session, young kids out there, if you're doing you're a pitcher and you're doing a pitching session, the last say 9 pitches that you pitch every single time needs to be my team is down 2-0 in the ALCS in front of the home crowd in extra innings, and I've got 9 pitches, and I'm going to throw 9 straight strikes.
Right.
And guess what? If I don't throw 9 straight strikes right now, we lose. And if I do, then we win. And you need to visualize, because the mind doesn't know the difference between a mental and a physical rep, and put yourself in there.
Right.
If you're a basketball player, when you get done, I don't care what your shoot around is, what your training is, even what your weightlifting is. Maybe you're just doing a weightlifting session. Go out, stand on the free throw line. Imagine that there's no time left on the clock, so everybody's actually cleared off the court. Everybody's staring at you. People are waving shit to try to distract you, and you've got to nail these 2 free throws to win the NBA Finals, right? Like, put yourself in those situations. Don't just shoot shots. Don't just take at bats. Don't just throw pitches, because the game is not played in that environment. The game's played in this environment, and the more you can put your mind in that mindset when you're going through those reps, like the better you're going to be in those big game moments.
There's studies of they had guys practice free throws for a half hour.
Come on, G-Dub, come back over here.
And they had 6-0. All right, here we go, G-Dub. We're joined back here again with head coach, ex-head coach, former head coach. I don't say ex. Ex sounds terrible. Former head coach Gregg Williams. Boy, you leave and then all hell breaks loose.
Unbelievable. And I've been able to just stand up there and watch it. And I've been rocking and rolling. You could be hearing me cheering back and forth about all the different things in the game. That's been a hard-fought game right now. Let's end it in the bottom right now, bottom of the 10th.
No doubt. That's what you were talking about earlier when you said, hey, never say die. Come get some.
Yes.
Like, that's the mentality. I don't want to hear anything, right? And all the improbable, and that's what we've been talking over here. We've been talking a lot over here about it's been a circus conversation. Somehow we got on the hey, let me do this. I'm just going to do this just for the viewers out here, because G-Dub was not around during this time. So G-Dub, tell the viewers what it was like for you as a 27-year-old educator and high school coach, changing young 1-year-old Blake Williams' diapers, and what you would do.
What I would do is that
the progression of development
Well,
that you would
the proper
what you would
protocol
make
was
me do.
what I would make you do is all of a sudden, after I changed the diaper, I would make him have to clean himself up, okay, make him stand up, okay, and all of them button the thing on there. And then the thing is that after we got it all done is now, okay, I would throw the diaper and he would have to catch, okay, and we were working on when he was little on catching the ball with one hand because I'm tired of coaching people who can't catch a cold buck naked in a rainstorm. Okay. And then he would go over and have to dunk it into the diaper pail. And we made a competition out of it because I didn't want my kid not to be able not to catch.
Amen to that. So that's proof that I'm not just spitting like that. Was real life. So when you hear G-Dub getting so pissed off every single week about the just proliferation of drop passes that are in the NFL, and it just keeps getting worse every year, like there was no sympathy
There was
up
none.
in this household for like dropping a spoon, knocking over your drink.
No.
Oh my God.
No accountability.
Hey, how about this one? Because we're going there. Tell the viewers about how when I was a freshman at. There we go. Is that it? Yep. Tell the viewers about how when I was a freshman at Powerhouse Brentwood Academy in Nashville, Tennessee, where first round draft picks in the NFL, first round draft picks in the NBA every year are coming out of Brentwood Academy, and it was the first time in my life I was consistently playing with a freshman on varsity and get a bigger ball, and guys that are going into the SEC, playing quarterback, throwing to me with high velocity, and so dropping some passes that I normally never would. How did you teach me to stop body catching that bigger high school ball with high velocity and catch and stop body catching?
Why don't you go ahead and tell them exactly?
No. That's how things work. I ask the questions and you answer.
I answer it. So what I would do is, first off, I end up buying what's it called, the ball machine, okay, and then
it didn't have anything to do with jug machine.
Go ahead.
Yep. What happened in the game up here?
We got runners at second, sack fly, sack punt, small ball, runner on second, one out. Oh.
All right, so let's go back to catching. So what I did was I set you on the ground. I made you spread your legs
in the front yard,
so all the neighborhood could see. And that I started out at 10 yards and I backed up to maybe 15 yards, and I'm rifling the ball right at your nuts. And so if you didn't catch the ball, it would hit you right in the nuts because we're not going to body catch with our nuts.
So you want to know how to become a champion.
That's it.
And how to raise your kids in the soft gin, whatever we are in now. I don't know. Environment.
It's amazing. It's amazing how much better catcher you were. You started catching the ball very good then.
Became an all-state receiver then. We're going to eventually have to get into this late night parlay.
We do. It is. We're gonna get last batter here. We're gonna get.
You looked experienced at that.
Hey,
do that again. Show me.
You lived on Bourbon Street long and see too many.
Show me that technique again.
I have no shame in my game. You saw my life. I did all right. All right. After this batter, we are going to switch over to the late night parlay. We definitely, God, I hate the switch during the middle of the bottom of the 10th here, but schedule's a schedule. Coaches, awesome. Great show here tonight. Great guest. What an experience we all got to have together with this game.
No doubt.
We're just getting started. We got another hour and a half to go with the late night parlay right here on the Dude Network. If we're going to get into some football coaching, what was the score last time you saw?
6-0 Broncos with 13 minutes to go in the half.
So kind of like I said, it was probably going to go right now. I'll check live right now and see where we're at. And so it says we're still.
Oh my God!
6-0.
Oh God!
Video on the late night. We get second. Night parlay is now the late night party. We're
we'll see you on the other side. Holy shit. Woo!